We have four big areas that may be impacting yourself as a creator or an entrepreneur, or if you generally just love social media, tech, and business. A lot of things going on in the space. The four stories that we're going to cover today is TikTok crossed 100 million on Black Friday in terms of its shop. We're going to talk about what that means, the future of marketing, business, etc. TikTok is piloting something called trials, really important to most creators and entrepreneurs out there, and even businesses worried about burning out their audiences. Is social anymore? What's going on? The reality is nobody's posting. What does that mean? What does that mean? What's the opportunity for you knowing that there's not a lot of competition, maybe less than you think, at least in the social media space? And then four, something I'm just learning about and really I think is super interesting is that, now Google, Meta, and Microsoft, including now put Tesla in this, are all experimenting in either nuclear power, renewable energy, or some version of battery packs to really power their AI infrastructure moving forward. AI infrastructure, the processing behind it, the chips, all that good stuff is the new golden era to maybe invest in, to be paying attention to in our space, because ultimately these processes for AI need a ton of energy to kind of sustain the learning, the growth, and as it gets more and more complex, they're going to need more and more energy until things change, right? So crazy, interesting stuff in day trade attention here. So I'm going to jump into my first story. TikTok Shop crossed 100 million in-app purchases over Black Friday. Its Chinese version, Douyin, did about 500 million last year. 500 billion last year in China. That's an accurate number. You can check on social media today for that news. And why I'm even bringing this up, what does TikTok Shop mean? If you're in e-commerce, you're selling through Shopify. If you're a small business, a solopreneur, an artist, a creator, what does this mean to you? The reality is everything's changing. No longer you're going to need to go to a third-party site, right? No longer you're going to need to have a Shopify site, potentially. I mean, you might have those, but you can, in the future, you're just going to basically be a creator and sell directly through shops, because it's going to go from either the manufacturer or the person who houses the product, and it's going to go directly through your shops, and you're not going to need as many websites. You're going to still have one, but you can start a perfectly strong business by just capturing attention. And why Amazon, Walmart, why they're all paying attention to this is because TikTok even mentioned going direct to consumer, meaning bypassing any other manufacturing. So they want to be basically an Amazon and a YouTube, merge them together, and you have a superpower for generating revenue. As consumers are moving to channels like YouTube, they're moving to TikTok, right? We're on Amazon gets it because Amazon's now, right? They're running commercials on Prime. You can click from the commercial to buy stuff. It's all happening, reducing friction at the moment of attention. Amazon's running old school, more commercials, but if they can capture the TikTok audience, right? And I know they've experimented with, because I tested it, like their creator, they're experimenting with a TikTok style feed. Walmart as well, they all know that if you have the attention, you can basically sell or get advertisers there, right? So if you're starting off in 2025, what I would be doing if I'm a business owner, if I'm a creator like myself, if I'm a musician, if I'm a social media person, if I'm an e-commerce site, I would be mastering TikTok Shop and that process from setting it up to delivery, all that good stuff, how to do it, get through that pain point. You can do that on you can do that on Meta, as well. It's not as powerful yet, but it's going to be there because this is the future. So I would be getting the TikTok Shop going, experimenting with 1 to 3 products that you maybe already offer, and then posting content there. If you're already there, you have the content. But the second phase of that, posting content, you're going to be linking to your shop. People can buy. You're basically QV, posting content about how it fits into everyone's everyday life. This is going to be the way, right? And then the second phase of that is going live. Nicki Minaj went live on Black Friday and absolutely crushed it in terms of sales. Why is every artist not doing this on TikTok? If you have an audience, I have 800,000 followers, I am rapidly trying to create a product that I can go to market with that provides value, something I'm interested in, that will be awesome for my audience, because at the end of the day, that's your biggest opportunity. The channels want you to go live. YouTube wants you to go live. TikTok wants you to go live. Meta wants you to go live. Instagram wants you to go live. Because the longer you're live, it keeps people's attention. Hey, I don't want to miss this live moment. Also, you're going to be triggered in the algorithm, so you get to show up. You're going to get more discovery as people pop in and pop out of your lives. And then you can sell products directly. It's the QVC future. And it's already there in China. They're trying to push it in Europe. They're trying to push it in the US. And they're really pushing all of social media to evolve, which I admire. TikTok does have the ban coming up. I made a quick post about that. I do think it will get sold off. I don't really see, unless Trump really takes the other side of this and just basically wants to keep the competition alive. But I think this might be tit for tat in the geopolitics, right? At the end of the day, they don't allow Meta over there. If we're going to allow TikTok, it should be the same, right? So do we force it to get sold? I do think there's a really high probability. I think people are chomping at the bit to buy it. Will it be the same platform after it's sold? I don't think the end consumer will know much. Unless it gets shut down, the end consumer will just keep going, and then maybe things change, just like when Google bought YouTube. So I don't want to get too far into that, but I do think if you're a business owner, TikTok shop, if it sticks around, it's going to be key 2025. Number two, Reels and Instagram are piloting something called trial posting. So a lot of people are worried, if you're a creator, if you're a business, if you're a big brand, how much can I post a day? Everyone's always like, what's the sweet spot? Gary Vee would tell you post as many as you can. And I think even recently he might have said the sweet spot is really 2 per day on Instagram. But all channels are different. The reality is, in this new world, a percentage of your audience that follows you sees your content. But if it's really good, most of the views are going to come from non-followers. So you go into the interest graph on Instagram, you go into the discovery engine, or For You page on TikTok, right? And you're basically just going to people interested in that content, and goes and goes and goes. It's like SEO. It just finds its home. So, but there is a reality to burning out your audience. They don't want to see more and more content. So Instagram is piloting something called trials. And essentially, you can post to non-followers first. It trials it out. You get data on it. If it's crushing it, you can then post it to your audience to get more reach, knowing it's a good, valuable piece of content, and then go from there. When you're in the trial phase, you can only find your video in drafts, and then eventually, when you post it live, it goes into the newsfeed. So this is really interesting. I definitely plan to do it myself, although I don't post a lot. I plan on posting way more in 2025 as I'm creating a lot more content. But I do think for you more established creators, this is a great thing to just test content in general. If Instagram's pushing it, it's probably a feature that will help you get juiced views. So I would definitely be testing it out. And I think it's a really smart thing. I actually wish TikTok had it, because I would trial. Trialing is really important, because you definitely also you're testing new content and stuff like that. Just think it's really interesting. So number 3, I've been in social media for a long time, since MySpace, and I think it's gone through a bazillion different phases, just like all mediums. But the reality is, social media is not as social as it used to be. Facebook used to be a very robust place of your friends and family posting. Now it's more of a highlight reel. Instagram used to be really where your friends and you were interested in your friends and family. Sort of phase 2, millennials, and then became influencers, and then a lot of the personal posting is going on into disposable areas and stories and Snap, and then the highlights are going on your feed. So maybe a Christmas family get together. But you're not seeing as much documenting from the average user. In fact, most stats, I think Twitter's was 20% of the people on the platform produce all of the content. And 80% barely even like, comment, or share. And that's really the same for Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube as well. And in the business, we call these people lurkers. And what TikTok exposed is, and I think everyone was getting there, YouTube already understood it, is watch time is really the primary KPI. People are either reading or they're watching videos. They're not liking, they're not commenting and sharing, unless they're really compelled. And they're compelled by different emotional things. You see someone on TikTok, a stranger's dad passed away, to make a compelling video. We all say sorry, we comment, like, and share. We're supporting each other. Someone posts a political thing we don't agree with. The comments are basically a debate stage. That is how the business is going. And all the sharing and real social stuff is in your messenger apps, your text chains, right? Your DMs. That's where the social has gone. And it's really more of a highlight reel for most normal people and the rest of us. So I bring this up because your opportunity as a creator, as a business, is there's so much opportunity to capture attention because nobody's posting. So if you really want to be in this space, go for it. It's going to be endless. Going live, doing long form, doing short form, having the playbook, or just pick one. Go long form on YouTube, experiment. Go short form on TikTok, experiment, and Reels. There's not a lot of people, as much as you think there is, there's not a ton of people in the space. And in fact, if you watch this election, it was the first election where podcasts were mature enough to pull, I think, weight. And you saw the comedians, right? The early adopters, and really, like the Rogans, my buddy, like a Cole Cabana, were super early, right? They were doing this 2009, 2008, all the way to 18, 19, where podcasting really became mainstream. People who started in 19, stayed consistent, are really the biggest media people out there. You got Valuetainment, Monster in the space, right? You got Rogan, you got Call Her Daddy. You get so many podcasts. There's so many out there, but there's so many opportunities for eyeballs. It's about being consistent. Now, we're probably in like the phase 2. We're not in the super early phase of like the long form content. You can definitely break through with good short form. You can definitely break through with consistency. That is really the only thing. Developing your own shows. I have a couple podcasts in the works right now, and that's how things are going to go. So that's your business opportunity. Hey, if you're a chef, I was on a conversation consulting with a wine company, just a few of us talking about how wine is with someone from Australia, with someone from California, with myself, who's just more of a marketer. And I'm like, this is podcast content. People in the wine space would want to know what's going on in the world. From China, how they're buying wine again, Australia, what's going on there, Europe, what's going on behind the scenes with the manufacturers. There's so much opportunity. There's just knowledge. Being a fly in the room is the game. And I think we're all looking for that. As in a weird way, people are, even especially myself, males, we're working from home. There's not as many people to talk to. A lot of times your podcast is your community, right? I do have other things, friends and boating and all sorts of stuff. But what I mean is, the idea is this is filling a gap, and people are fly on the wall. If you could be a fly on the wall for, John F. Kennedy talking to a few people long form about geopolitics in the 60s, we would all love that, right? Or the fly on the wall to conversations about big cultural moments. That's what's going on now. You got a Trump going on a podcast, and you're a fly in the wall. It's casual conversations about the most important subjects, at least in the broader culture and war. What's going on in Israel, Ukraine. So it's a fascinating moment. I think you go in, put your spin on it, play it as safe or as hardcore as you want to go, but I do think that's the future of business. The last thing, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I just think it's super interesting. I don't know what podcast I was listening to recently where I first heard of it, and then I seen it in a couple articles this morning doing some research. But you have Google getting into renewable energy. You have Meta getting into nuclear power plants. Microsoft, I think, is doing the same. Obviously, Tesla, these are the big 7. I think the Magnificent 7, they call them. Tesla has been in the energy space. Why this is important is because AI is really the future of all of this, right? It powers the robots. It powers a lot of what we're going to be doing. It's going to be taking the place of a lot of different things, and we're all going to be working with it. I think AI will be like Tony Stark for a lot of us, where we're just talking to it and it's helping us build and do things faster, and we're doing things more leaner as companies. Our robots are going to be doing lots of things around the house. We're going to have more free time to do other stuff. Andrew Yang was way ahead of the curve. Anyways, they're getting into the energy space because they need to power all the processors, and things that go into developing AI and behind it. I think it's fascinating. I definitely super interested that the private sector is now starting to do a lot of things that the government maybe would do, and pushing us to move faster as America and the world wants to get more competitive with the broader geopolitics thing. So it's super interesting to me. I thought I'd be sharing with you guys that, I never thought I would be talking about Meta getting into the nuclear space. Or Google, in that fact, renewable energies. I think it's very fascinating, opens a whole nother level of jobs. So very interesting stuff. Love to know what you guys think in the comments below. That's it for Day Trading Intention. Hope you learn. Hope you can apply some of this stuff to your own businesses later.